Welcome, in front of me is a Nothing Phone 2A, and today I'll go for unboxing along with a quick look at the device and also its specs. So to get started, I will mention that I did already unpack this. I tried to record it once, but ran out of storage on my SD card, so here we go again, basically. In any case, obviously inside the box we do have a box that you need to just kind of rip apart, as typical of Nothing. But inside we get a bit better packaging right here. Get the device itself. So here's the phone itself, and I'm gonna set it to the side. Then we get our cable for charging. So this is a more unique cable compared to like some other ones. We do have more traditional Nothing branding on it with this kind of stylized plugs right here, which is pretty nice, especially considering this device is somewhere between like low end or mid-range. So pretty nice that they even go out of their way to stylize things like that. Now additionally we do have our SIM ejector right here, which looks exactly like this one. Now moving to the device itself, let's start off with the display, which I guess I have to turn it on again. So there we go. Once it boots up, you'll be able to see the display. Now the display right here is a 6.7 inch display running a resolution of 1080 by 2412 pixels. It is also an AMOLED display, 1 billion colors, 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10+, and a peak brightness of 1300 nits. That being said, this display right here is basically some of the better displays that you can get on a phone, specifically at this price range. So Nothing did drop most of the value of the device into the display itself, which is, in my opinion, really good, considering you always will be looking at the display, so you might as well be looking at a good display. Now flipping it over to the back, we have our dual camera setup, and that's again another W for Nothing, for including just 2 cameras and not giving you dogshit cameras that are completely useless. So here we have dual 50 megapixel sensors, one being an 50 megapixel f1.9 wide sensor with PDAF and optical image stabilization, and then besides that we have a 50 megapixel f2.2 114 degree ultra wide lens. And with those cameras at the back you can record videos at 4K 30 frames or 1080p 60 with slow motion of 120, including electronic or gyroscopic electronic image stabilization. Then at the front we have a 32 megapixel selfie wide sensor f2.2, which allows you to record selfies in terms of videos at 1080p 60 frames. Again, pretty decent. Now going into the actual build of the device, it looks like the frame right here is plastic, so it is on a lower end, I guess. Or not I guess, but it is. And at the top we have absolutely nothing apart from maybe just a microphone right here. Then on our left side we have our volume rockers. Now I don't recall if Nothing had a little flip switchy thing for like mute or silent. If it did, this one does not come with one. Anyway, at the bottom we have our dual SIM card tray. There is no SD card support right here, so if you need more than 128 gig storage, you will need to buy the more expensive one, because you won't be able to use an SD card in this phone. Now besides that we have another microphone, along with a charging Type-C, and our speakers. And then on the right side we have our power button. Now this is just a power button, it does not double as a fingerprint sensor, and that is because we have under display fingerprint sensor on here. Now, going into the back, we also have glass back, as you can clearly see, and it is stylized as well with the typical Nothing design. So it is transparent with this kind of design at the below this. Though I want to point out, these kind of things are basically nothing. These aren't any kind of like wireless charging coils or anything like that. It's just aesthetic design. The internals of the device are actually below this cover that you can see through the glass, and this is just kind of covering everything that is actually inside. Not really sure why go for the transparent design and then cover the actual inside, but it still looks pretty okay. And by the looks of it, we do have the lighting right here. I'm not sure if that is lighting, but it looks like it. I haven't actually checked it out at all yet. There we go. And One thing that I want to mention, which might not be as visible on the recording, the glass right here is subtly like curved at the edges, and it kind of melts with the, if you can kind of see this. So the glass right here is literally like falling off compared to the more traditional design. If I, for instance, bring up my phone, so you can see that this is curved display, right? So it kind of tries to mimic it, but you can see it kind of just goes along with it. In more traditional devices, when the back is flat, like for instance this one would be, then the actual bezel of the phone, the frame, would cover the display. Here it's the exact opposite way, so we do have this nice kind of rounded corner of a glass that you can get to feel, and it does feel really nice in hand, much better than, for instance, if they would have made that plastic just covered the glass. At that point it would feel just kind of crap, to be honest. So pretty nice decision right here. It feels really nice in hand, though I do want to point out, usually when you have kind of design like this with the glass, if you drop this device, so at basically any kind of angle like this, it will usually hit, instead of the frame, it will automatically be hitting the glass, and that will probably break it. So I just want to point that out. In terms of durability, you might want to use a case for this device, as most likely any kind of drop will end up in cracking the back. Now, continuing on with the device and its specs, let's go into the insides of it, which this device comes with a 5000 mAh battery and a wired charging speed of 45 watts. Now, there is no charger included in the box, but I do want to kind of contradict this in a way. So, Nothing has only created like what, 3 phones right now. So this is, I believe, a 3rd one, if I'm correct. And if they want to go with the route of, you know, protecting the environment and all that crap, and that's why we're not including a charger, I would say right now it's fine. I kind of believe them if they do that, just because they only have 3 devices so far. The reason I'm pointing that out is because you have other companies like Samsung. Samsung claims they care about the environment. That's why they produce, like 10 devices per year? None of them basically including a charger. And let's be honest, the chargers aren't the biggest problem for our environment. It's the batteries inside of those phones. We care so much about our environment, that's why we produce 10 or 20 effing devices per year that primarily won't get sold in all its entirety. So yeah, we care so much about the environment. Sure, yeah, like I'm gonna believe that bullshit. So when it comes down to nothing, they only have 3 phones right now, and that's more, you know, believable that they don't include it. They're also not producing stupid amounts of devices per year, so that's fine. Now, continuing on with the internals, we have a Dimensity 7200 Pro in here as our processor powering this phone, and in terms of the storage and RAM, you have 3 different options. You have the 128 gigs with 8 gigs of RAM, that will be the lowest end, 256 with 8 gigs, and then 256 with 12 gigs of RAM. So probably for the most people, you might be interested in the 256 8 gigabytes, as it's going to be the decent storage size that will cover most of your needs, I would presume, unless you're taking a lot of photos and videos. At that point, you might struggle, but then 256 is still the highest you can get for this phone. But 8 gigabytes in general should be enough for a phone this size that won't be doing too much multitasking, as this device won't really let you do much, as the display is only at 6.7 inches. Now this is traditional size right now for most devices, but when compared to some foldable phones, obviously you can see how that will differ, and how foldable phones would allow you to have more applications open than the traditional devices like this, at which point you might want to have more RAM for bigger form factor devices, as you can also do more. Here, 8 I consider to be a very decent option, and most likely majority of the people picking this device up will not need anything more than 8 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, now the last thing to mention is the software in here. So we are running right now the most current version, which is the Android 14 on this phone, with Nothing OS on top of it, and it's the 2.5.3 version. And that basically sums up the device. It's a pretty decent device for about $300, so if you're looking for a budget to mid-range device, this should be pretty decent. Now that being said, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.